My dad called off my graduation party for my stepsister's bad mood. So I packed and left that night and watched them lose the house when my small contributions stopped covering the mortgage. Before we move forward, please show some love by subscribing and share your location in the comments. I love seeing where our family is watching from. I was standing in our kitchen at 4 p.m. on a Friday, watching Dad cancel the caterer for my graduation party while my stepsister Brianna sobbed dramatically in the living room. My hands were shaking as I gripped my acceptance letter to Howard University. Full scholarship, pre-med track, everything I'd worked 6 years for since Mom died. Dad, you're seriously doing this? My voice cracked despite my best efforts to stay calm. He wouldn't even look at me, just kept his phone pressed to his ear. The party's tomorrow. Everyone's already confirmed. Lisa, baby, you gotta understand, he said, finally hanging up. Brianna's going through something real heavy right now. Her boyfriend just broke up with her this morning. She can't handle being around all that celebration. I felt something cold settle in my chest. She's 17. It's a high school breakup. This is my college graduation. But Dad was already shaking his head, and I saw my stepmother Susan emerge from comforting Brianna, her expression set in that familiar look of disappointed authority she'd perfected over the 4 years since she'd moved in. Lisa, honey, you're 22 years old, Susan said sweetly, touching my shoulder with those long acrylic nails. You're mature enough to understand that sometimes we make sacrifices for family. Brianna needs us right now. We can celebrate your graduation next month instead. That's when I noticed the house around me with fresh eyes. The mortgage I'd been helping with since I was 19, working 2 jobs while finishing my degree online to stay home and contribute to the household. That night I couldn't sleep. I sat in my childhood bedroom, the one I'd kept pristine and small while Brianna got the master suite renovation last year, and opened my banking app. The numbers glowed accusingly in the darkness. $47,800. That's what I'd contributed to household expenses over 3 years. I'd been telling myself it was normal that families help each other. I opened my notes app and started scrolling. Every Venmo, every check, every cash payment meticulously documented because I'm anal about finances. Something Mom taught me before the cancer took her when I was 16. $1,200 monthly 4-year portion of mortgage, I read aloud to my empty room. Plus groceries, plus utilities, plus that $8,000 for Brianna's sweet 16 at the Ritz. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Evelyn. Girl, your dad really canceled? I already bought my outfit. 3 crying emojis followed. Then another text. You know what? F*** that. We're celebrating you anyway. My place. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. I started doing math. The house was a 4-bedroom in a decent Atlanta suburb. Dad worked as a regional manager at a freight company, pulling maybe $65,000. Susan did medical billing from home, maybe $40,000. Brianna didn't work. Too focused on her influencer career that had 847 Instagram followers. But somehow they'd bought a new Lexus last year. Took a cruise to Mexico. Renovated their bathroom with heated floors. My stomach turned. I pulled up Zillow and found our house. Estimated mortgage. $2,100 monthly. My contribution was covering more than half. I'd been paying their mortgage while living like a guest who had to ask permission to have friends over. Saturday morning hit different. I woke up to Brianna's laughter echoing from downstairs. She was already over her devastating heartbreak, apparently. I could hear her on FaceTime with her friends. Girl, I'm so glad we're not having that boring party here today. Now we can go to Lenox Mall. Daddy already gave me his credit card. Something in me snapped clean in half. I opened my laptop and created a spreadsheet. 3 years of financial records. Every contribution, every family expense I'd covered, every time I'd skipped buying textbooks new because money was tight, while Brianna got $1,000 prom dress. The total came to $47,800, but that didn't include the countless small things. The groceries I'd bought, the gas money, the times I'd covered utilities because Dad's check was late. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Dad appeared in my doorway looking uncomfortable. "Lisa, I know you're upset, but I got you something to make up for the party." He handed me an envelope. Inside was a $50 gift card to Target and a card that said, "Congratulations, graduate," in generic gold letters. The same card Susan had given her dental hygienist last month. I recognized it from the box in their office. $50, I said flatly. "For my college graduation. The party you canceled cost $3,200. I transferred you $2,000 last month alone for the mortgage." His face shifted, that guilty look he'd perfected. "Baby girl, that's different. That's you contributing to the household. This is a gift." "Contributing," I repeated. "Dad, do you know how much I've given you in 3 years?" He shuffled his feet. "We've never asked you for money, Lisa. You offered to help." That's when I knew. He actually believed this. Susan had reconstructed reality so thoroughly that he genuinely thought I was just helping out, while they struggled, not subsidizing their entire lifestyle. Sunday dinner was mandatory in the Wilson household. Susan's rule, implemented 2 months after Mom died. I sat at the table watching Brianna scroll through her phone while Dad carved the roast I'd bought 3 days ago. Susan was talking about their plans for a trip to Miami in August. "We found this amazing resort," she gushed. "Adults only, so Brianna can stay with her grandmother. 2 weeks of pure paradise. The package is only $6,000 for both of us." I set down my fork. "That sounds expensive." "Well, we've been working so hard," Dad said quickly. "We deserve a vacation." "Do I get a vacation?" The question came out sharper than I intended. The table went quiet. Brianna finally looked up from her phone. "What do you mean?" Susan asked, her voice taking on that edge of warning I'd learned to recognize. "I work 50 hours a week between the hospital and the tutoring center. I just graduated summa cum laude. My vacation was the party you canceled so Brianna could go shopping." I turned to my father. "Dad, did you know I've given you almost $50,000 in 3 years?" His face went blank. Lisa, that's not accurate." I pulled out my phone, opened my spreadsheet and slid it across the table. "It's all documented. Every transfer. Every check. Every cash payment. $47,800. Susan's eyes narrowed. "You've been keeping track? Like we're some kind of debtors?" "That's incredibly disrespectful, Lisa. This is your family." "Family," I said, and I could hear my voice shaking now, "doesn't cancel your graduation party because your stepsister had a bad day. Family doesn't take $50,000 while you eat ramen for dinner 4 nights a week." Dad was scrolling through my spreadsheet, his face getting redder. "Some of these numbers are inflated. This says $1,200 for mortgage, but we only asked for $1,200 every month. For 3 years. I couldn't do it anymore. That night, after everyone went to bed, I found myself in Dad's home office. The one room I'd been told was off limits because of his important work documents. The door was unlocked. I guess they never thought I'd actually look. The filing cabinet opened easily. Inside were mortgage statements, bills, financial documents. I started reading, my hands trembling under the desk lamp. The mortgage payment was $2,100 monthly, just like Zillow estimated. But there were other papers. Refinance documents from 2 years ago. They'd pulled $80,000 in equity out of the house. Bank statements showing regular transfers to what I finally realized was a savings account in Brianna's name. Over $30,000 deposited in 2 years. My vision blurred. They'd been using my money. Money I earned working double shifts. Money I'd saved from skipping meals and driving a car held together by prayer and duct tape. To build a nest egg for Brianna. Not for the household. Not for emergencies. For Brianna's future. I found something else. Credit card statements. The Lexus wasn't paid off. They owed $38,000. They had $17,000 in credit card debt across 4 cards. The Mexico cruise, Brianna's room renovation, the new furniture. All financed. And they were barely making minimum payments. My small contributions weren't helping out. They were the only thing keeping this house of cards from collapsing. I took pictures of everything. My hands weren't shaking anymore. They were steady, calm, almost cold. I put everything back exactly as I found it and walked back to my room. On my bed was a text from my supervisor at the hospital. "Hey Lisa. Great news. The residency program coordinator position opened up. Full-time benefits, $52,000 salary. It's yours if you want it. Based in our downtown location though. Would you need to relocate?" I looked around my childhood bedroom. At the posters I'd never taken down, the stuffed animals from when Mom was alive. The life I'd been clinging to because I thought this was family. I typed back, "Yes. When can I start?" Monday morning I called in sick to both jobs. I'd never done that before, not once in 3 years. Instead I went to U-Haul and rented the smallest truck they had. Then I went to the bank and opened a new checking account, transferring every penny from the joint account Dad had insisted I set up, for easier family transactions. $12,400, my emergency fund untouched by their chaos. I packed methodically. Clothes, books, my few pieces of furniture. Mom's jewelry box. The photo albums from before Susan. My degree, still in its cardboard tube, unhung and uncelebrated. Everything fit in the small truck with room to spare. 6 years in this house since Susan moved in, and my entire life fit in 120 square feet. Dad was at work. Susan was at her mother's. But Brianna was home, cutting class as usual. She found me carrying boxes at noon, still in her pajamas. "What are you doing?" she asked, eyes wide. "Moving out." "Because of the party?" "God, Lisa, you're so dramatic. We said we'd celebrate later." I set down the box. My medical textbooks, $600 worth that I'd bought used and highlighted carefully. "Brianna, do you know how much money I've put into this house?" She shrugged, uncomfortable. "You live here. You should contribute. I've paid almost $50,000 in 3 years. Do you contribute anything?" Her face flushed. "I'm in high school. That's different. You're 17. I was working full-time at 16 after Mom died. But that's not the point." I picked up the box again. "The point is I'm done being treated like a checkbook with a heartbeat." She followed me outside. "Daddy's going to be so mad at you. After everything they've done for you." I spun around so fast she stepped back. "Everything they've done? Brianna, I've been paying your father's mortgage. I bought the groceries in your fridge. That money he gave you for the mall yesterday? That was probably from my last transfer. So don't you dare talk to me about what they've done for me." I was loading the last box when my phone rang. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Lisa Marie Wilson, what the hell is Brianna talking about? She says you're moving out." "I am. Without even talking to us. Just gonna sneak out like a what, Dad? Like someone who's tired of being used?" "Yeah. That's exactly what I'm doing." There was silence on the other end, then his voice came back, lower, angrier. "Used? We gave you a home after your mama died. We..." "Stop." The word came out like a gunshot. Just stop. You gave me Mom's house. The house that was in her name that she left to both of us. You married Susan 6 months after the funeral and moved her in. You let her redecorate everything until there wasn't a trace of Mom left. And then you started asking me to contribute to the household. You're an adult. Adults pay rent. I paid more than rent, Dad. I paid your mortgage, your car payment, your wife's shopping trips, your daughter's influencer fantasy. I have proof of every penny and I'm done. You can't just leave. You have responsibilities here. That made me laugh, harsh and broken. Responsibilities? The only responsibility I have is to myself. And I just accepted a job that starts in 2 weeks. Downtown Atlanta. I'm moving today. Lisa, baby girl, let's talk about this. Come on now. We can work this out. Remember what you said when you canceled my party? You said Brianna needed you more than I needed a celebration. You chose. So now I'm choosing too. I'm choosing me. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking again, but this time it felt different. Not fear. Liberation. Evelyn opened her apartment door in Midtown and immediately pulled me into a hug. I've been waiting for this day for 3 years, she said into my shoulder. Girl, I've been praying you'd wake up. Her apartment was small but hers, a 1-bedroom she shared with her girlfriend Taylor. They cleared out their dining area for my boxes and insisted I take the couch until I found a place. That first night, the 3 of us sat up talking until 3 a.m. I should have said something sooner, Evelyn confessed. But every time I tried, you'd defend him. He's still grieving, or Susan is just trying to blend the family, or I don't mind helping out. I saw your face at Thanksgiving, Taylor added. She was a social worker, sharp-eyed and direct. When Susan made you serve everyone before you could eat, then got mad because the turkey was cold. That's not family dynamics. That's servitude. I thought about that. About all the times I'd normalized the abnormal. My mom made me promise to take care of him, I said quietly. Before she died. She said, your daddy's going to need you, baby. Don't forget him. Evelyn grabbed my hand. Your mama meant emotionally, Lisa. She didn't mean become his retirement plan. My phone had been buzzing all evening. 15 missed calls from Dad. 8 from Susan. Even 2 from Brianna. Text messages piled up. Come home. Let's talk. You're being selfish. After all we've done for you. That last one was from Susan. I blocked all 3 numbers. How long until they realized the money stopped? Taylor asked. The mortgage is due on the 1st. I usually transfer it by the 25th. I checked the date, May 27th. I didn't send it this month. They have 4 days. Evelyn grinned. Oh, this is going to be good. June 1st came on a Thursday. I was at my new job orientation at the hospital. The downtown campus was gorgeous, all glass and modern architecture. The residency program coordinator role was everything I'd wanted. Working with medical students, decent pay, actual benefits. I was filling out insurance paperwork when my phone rang from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. It was Susan calling from a number I didn't recognize. Lisa, we need to talk about the mortgage payment. No, we don't. Excuse me. Her voice went ice cold. The payment didn't go through. The bank called. We're going to get hit with a late fee. That sounds like a problem for the homeowners. I kept my voice professional, the same tone I used with difficult patients. I don't live there anymore, remember? You have a responsibility. I had a responsibility to contribute to a household where I lived and was treated like family. I don't live there, and you made it clear I'm not really family. So no, Susan, I don't have any responsibility to pay your bills. Your father's bills. It's his house. Then he should pay for it. You make $65,000 a year. You make $40,000. That's $105,000 combined. You can afford a $2,100 mortgage payment. There was a pause. I could hear her breathing change, that little hitch that meant she was calculating something. Things are tight right now. The Lexus payment, Brianna's car insurance, we just booked that Miami trip. Cancel the trip. We can't. It's non-refundable. Then I guess you learned an expensive lesson about budgeting. I hung up and blocked that number too. My hands were steady. My heart was calm. For the first time in years I felt like I could breathe. My supervisor poked her head into the office. Hey Lisa. Welcome lunch in 10 minutes. You settling in okay? I smiled, a real smile. Yeah. I really am. They tried everything. Dad showed up at the hospital on June 3rd. I watched from my office window as security turned him away because he wasn't on my visitor list. Susan sent a letter to Evelyn's apartment, addressed to me, full of Bible verses about honoring your father and accusations that I was abandoning family in their time of need. Brianna tried a different approach. She sent a video message that Evelyn insisted I watch. Lisa, I'm really sorry about the party thing. I was going through stuff and I didn't realize. Anyway, Daddy's really stressed. Mom says we might lose the house. Can you please just help us this one last time? I promise things will be different. She doesn't even sound sorry, Taylor observed. She sounds coached. The video was filmed in Brianna's renovated bedroom, the one with the custom closet and new MacBook visible in the background. The cognitive dissonance was stunning. I deleted it without responding. But the worst came from Dad's sister, my Aunt Patricia. She called me directly. Lisa, baby, what's going on? Your daddy says you moved out without warning and stopped helping with bills. Did he tell you I've given them almost $50,000 in 3 years, Aunt Pat? Silence. Then, 50, what? $1,000. I have records of everything. Mortgage payments, groceries, utilities, plus thousands for Brianna's expenses while I worked 2 jobs and finished my degree. More silence. Aunt Patricia had never liked Susan. She'd called the wedding timing disrespectful, and had minimal contact with them since. And you were still living at home? She asked carefully. In my childhood bedroom. The smallest room. While Brianna got the master suite renovation. I heard Aunt Patricia exhale slowly. Baby girl, that ain't right. That ain't right at all. Your mama would be. She stopped. You did the right thing leaving. Don't let your daddy guilt you back. You hear me? I'll talk to him. It won't matter, I said. But thank you. No, baby. Thank you for finally putting yourself first. Mid-June brought the first real consequences. Evelyn showed me a Facebook post from Susan. When your adult daughter abandons you in your time of need, you realize who your real family is. Praying for God to soften hearts hardened by selfishness. #family first, #blessed. The comments were a mix of supportive emojis from her friends and pointed questions from people who knew me. My cousin Douglas commented, Susan, didn't Lisa help y'all out financially for years? What's really going on? She deleted his comment within an hour. But the damage was done. Aunt Patricia had clearly been talking. Words spread through our family like wildfire. Not gossip exactly, but concerned questions. How much had I really been paying? Why had no one noticed? Where was I living now? Dad's brother, Uncle Ray, called me directly. I heard some things that don't add up, he said. Your daddy told me you'd been staying with them rent-free, taking advantage. But Pat says different. I sent him my spreadsheet. 2 hours later he called back. Lisa, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. That man has lost his mind. That woman has him so turned around he doesn't know up from down. It's not just Susan, Uncle Ray. He made choices. He chose her comfort over my graduation. He chose Brianna's feelings over my accomplishments. He chose to believe I should be grateful for being allowed to pay his bills. The mortgage is 2 months late now, Uncle Ray said quietly. He called asking to borrow money. I told him no. Your Aunt Cynthia told him no. He's burned through everyone. What about the Miami trip? Uncle Ray laughed bitterly. They canceled it last week. Lost the deposit. $3,000 down the drain. I should have felt satisfaction. Dad, I just felt tired. I need to go, Uncle Ray. But thank you for checking on me. You doing okay? You need anything? I'm good. I'm really good actually. And I was. July brought my apartment. A studio in Virginia Highland, small but mine. Move-in day, Evelyn and Taylor helped me unpack. My phone rang. Dad from yet another new number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Lisa. His voice was different. Broken. Baby girl, please. We got the foreclosure notice. 90 days. We're going to lose the house. You're going to lose the house, I corrected. Not we. You and Susan. This is your mama's house. You'd let us lose the house your mama died in. That hit different. I sat down hard on my new couch. Second-hand but clean mine. Dad, don't you dare. Don't you dare use Mom against me. I'm not. Baby, I'm just saying. Mom would be ashamed of you. The words came out cold and clear. She would be ashamed that you married someone who erased her from her own house. Ashamed that you let Susan turn me into a bank account. Ashamed that you chose your new family over your daughter. That's not fair. You know what's not fair? You canceled my graduation party, the one celebration I'd asked for in 6 years, because Brianna had a bad day. You took $50,000 from me while I skipped meals to save money. You watched me work myself into exhaustion and thought I should be grateful to contribute. So don't talk to me about fair. We can fix this. You can move back. We'll make changes. Susan said. I don't care what Susan said. You want to save the house. Get a second job. Sell the Lexus. Have Brianna get a job. Cut up your credit cards. Budget like normal people do. But don't call me again. Lisa. I mean it, Dad. Lose this number. We're done. I hung up and turned off my phone. Then I cried, not for him but for the father I'd lost long before this moment. For Mom who'd loved him so much and who'd asked me to take care of him, never imagining he'd abuse that trust. December brought snow to Atlanta, rare and beautiful. I was walking to my favorite coffee shop near my apartment, scrolling through Instagram when I saw it. A post from Brianna. New beginnings in our new apartment. Downsizing is actually kind of freeing. #fresh start, #moving on. The photo showed a small 2-bedroom apartment in a less expensive part of town. Comments asked what happened. She deleted most of them, but I could read between the lines. They'd lost the house. Probably in October after the 90-day notice expired. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction. Not guilt. Just a quiet peace. My phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Morrison, one of the residents I supervised. Lisa. I got matched for my top choice residency. Thank you so much for all your help. I'd spent 6 months building something real. I'd helped 12 residents navigate their applications. I'd made friends at work. I'd gone on 3 dates with a pharmacy tech named Eric who made me laugh and never once asked to borrow money. I'd started therapy to unpack the guilt I'd carried since Mom died. I'd learned that loving someone doesn't mean letting them drain you dry. That evening Aunt Patricia called. Thought you should know your daddy and Susan split up. She filed for divorce last week. What happened? Turns out Susan had been taking money from Brianna's account, the one they'd been building with your contributions. Spent it on herself. Your daddy finally saw what everyone else had been seeing for years. And Brianna? Living with her grandmother. Your daddy's in a one-bedroom in College Park. He's working 2 jobs now. Finally. She paused. He asked about you. What did you tell him? That you're thriving. That you're happy. That he had a chance to have a relationship with his daughter and he chose wrong. I smiled. Thanks, Aunt Pat. You did good, baby. Your mama would be proud. I hung up and looked around my studio. At my medical textbooks on the shelf, my framed degree finally hung on the wall, the life I'd built from nothing. I picked up my phone and texted Eric. Dinner tomorrow? My treat. His reply came instantly. Only if you let me get dessert. Fair is fair. Fair is fair. I like that. I like that a lot. For the first time since Mom died, I wasn't just surviving. I was actually living. And it felt like coming home to myself.